exploring the light and dark of the Guyanese life here in London. And it's proving a task. I feel natural in here. The way the work is set up on the walls is encouraging me more and more the contrast between red and green. Waiting for the light to come up takes much longer here in London than it does in Guyana, because as soon as it's 5 o'clock in the morning, you see a streak of red going into the green jungle, which is most of the landscape.
And you've retained this Guyanese light in your mind through all these years in London,
Yes.
New York.
All through my life, I've been painting, stumbling across the color, and the paintings as result are almost always guesswork. They get measured later on. Down over the white line.
Over this line here?
Yeah, that line, yeah.
Okay.
You can pull the sparkles with you. The sparkles,
Put sparkles?
yeah, in front of you, right?
Okay.
Over the line.
Could you tell me a bit about this motif of the map, which you've returned to recently in some
Recently, yeah. I'm very moved by the fact that the influences on my work are more located in ordinary people's vision of the world.
It strikes me a map of the kind you used is itself an abstraction. I mean, you wouldn't see it even from space because there'd be clouds and it would be on a curved surface. Yeah. So it's an abstraction, but it's an abstraction which has a meaning.
Yeah.
And in the case of the map of the continent of South America, it's one part of its meaning is it's your original home.
And I found it easier in the beginning to pour the paint because the paint arrives on the surface of the canvas in a random manner and takes the shape of South America naturally.
Well, sometimes it seems to be floating in an ocean of colour which is washed inside the contours of the space of the land itself.
Yes.
One of the things we're going to do at the Fitzwilliam is hang one of your paintings next to a painting by Aubrey Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe you presented to the English faculty at Cambridge.
His work was based on the racial dimensions of the typical Guyanese individual. He himself, he looked like a native. The way he walked, the way he talked, the way he played instruments was all based on his preoccupation with the Amerindian population, people who slept in trees where they could see their destiny by at night discovering where they were located in the universe. by just simply sleeping and living in a dream world in Guyana. But somehow he took to me and showed me the way of the world, as it were. And it was from there that I started looking at the world in the way I do, and still not understanding it clearly, except when it comes off in the art. You know, when it comes, you know, when that the confusion of bits and pieces start to work, then I know what I'm doing. And it's the only time that I know what I'm doing is when I'm working in the work.
I imagine that the colour and the forms and the imagery of, say, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, that was intuitive.
Yes, yeah.
And one thing led to the next, and maybe the title came at the end. I don't know. Painting is a form of understanding, and when you do it, then you get the understanding.
Yes, that's right. You act out the completion of the work itself, and you look at it and you know that it's complete or finished from looking at it.
Again with the spray, primary color.
I mean, I feel uncomfortable about wholly dependent. And anything I become dependent on, I start to reject, except the painting, you know, the doing of the painting that I do every day. Another 3 foot from where the brush stops there, another 3 foot to the right. I can't do without it, because it's there with me. At the slightest lapse, I may be watching the television, and I switch out because all the images that are coming off the television are reflected in the ceiling of the room in which I sleep. You know,
and the images on the ceiling give you ideas.
Yes.
Make you start thinking about
painting. And I go on and on and on, and falling asleep under it.
So most of the time you're thinking about painting.
Yes.
When you're conscious, and maybe when you're dreaming too.
But I think, you know, as long as my mind is turning over, it's about painting.